The Toronto Raptors defeated the San Antonio Spurs 119-104 last night. We are back here at Gate 5. Savanna Hamilton alongside Sherman Hamilton, Paul Jones, and Amy Audibert will be joining us a little bit later. You got to give it to the Raptors last night because they deterred the record for Greg Popovich being the most winningest coach in NBA history. So give them their flowers there. But we got to talk about what we saw on the floor last night. Fred VanVleet had 26 points. How much did the Raptors miss his presence?
Oh, they missed him in a major way. And you think about Fred VanVleet, I think he had 21 of the 26 in the first half. And it's not like he started out very smoothly. He was in a situation where he really couldn't find the range from the three-point line, which is expected. You miss some games. You're trying to get acclimated again. You're going to be a bit rusty. You're not going to have your game rhythm. But he figured it out very quickly. And the fact is he was able to impact the game very quickly with his offense, his breakdown ability, and you just see the calmness of the team. There's an understanding of where everybody belongs when Fred is on the floor. So we can talk about his ability to score, and he did score the ball. He was 7 of 15, but 26 points on the floor, but he got to the free throw line 10 times in that game. So the shot wasn't falling. He decided, I'm going to attack. I'm going to make some aggressive moves to the basket, and that's what a leader does. Understands what's not working, then understands how to change it to something that is working.
Absolutely, and on the free throw line, he was 9 of 10. So you got to give credit to those free throws because those can be game changers in the end of the day. And also, Pascal Siakam, he was also 7 for 15 last night as well. So he had some major contributions there. But, we got to talk about Fred's overall impact because Sherm, he's an all-star this season.
Yes.
And obviously his presence was severely missed over the stretch where he wasn't available, of course. But, just talk about his overall impact this season and how much of a floor general he's had to be to, kind of take control of this younger team.
Well, I think that with Fred's leadership, sometimes what goes unnoticed is his ability to let other people lead at certain junctures of the game. And I think the best leaders understand when to follow. And Fred VanVleet does a great job of that. You could see in the game when Scottie Barnes had it going later in the game in the third and fourth quarter, Fred took a back seat and said, Scottie, do your thing. Gary Trent got a little bit of rhythm. He let him do it. It's Pascal. Fred understands where to insert himself and how much the team needs from him in whatever area they requested. So I just think his leadership is so valuable, and there's a calming effect. There's a presence that Fred brings to the floor. When he's on the floor, the ball's in his hands, everybody can just exhale.
Yes.
They know the plays are going to be run. They know whomever's supposed to get the ball is going to get the ball, and that's what great leaders do.
Absolutely. I love the fact that you pointed that out because he empowers his teammates to also take control of the game. And somebody else that we've seen that in the NBA has been Chris Paul. And I know we're going to talk about the Suns a little bit later, but you just see that in the veteran leadership presence, and it doesn't threaten their own game. They love seeing their teammates also win because, hey, that fattens up your assist column too. Let's be honest here, sure. But let's talk about Scottie Barnes. You mentioned him just previously there. We talked last episode about how impactful he has been, having to take a bit of a point forward role when Fred VanVleet and Malachi have been out. And now we saw him last night kind of dominating the paint space. What did you make of his game?
Versatility, Sav. When you talk about Scottie Barnes, you're thinking about a young man, a rookie in this league who understands that his coach has enough confidence in him to say, you're going to be the point guard for major junctures of the game when Fred and Malachi aren't there. And he responds to that. And then I thought, and I saw this with Scottie Barnes earlier after the All-Star break, he just decides he's going to lead. And as a young player, it's very, very impressive to see. In the third quarter, the Spurs came out and were very aggressive, and they set the tone early in the third quarter. Nick Nurse called a timeout. Scottie said, forget that. It's time to go downhill, attack. Got into the paint, played big man basketball in the third and fourth quarter. And that kind of leadership just through his play shows that he's going to pull the team along. And to me, that takes him to the next level.
Yes.
That makes you look at Scottie Barnes and say, whatever's required of him on either side of the basketball, not only will he deliver, but the most impressive fact is that he has all the tools in the toolbox already to get the job done.
And he's going to have a very long career because of that. We were talking off camera about how tall he is. He's 6'7". Is he 6'9"? Is he 6'10"? And he's only 20 years old. So he very well could continue to grow, not just physically, but also into his game and just refine those tools as well. So I'm excited for his future.
No question.
But now we're going to hear from head coach Nick Nurse following the Spurs game.
Well, I think, we've seen him do this before where he's, not quite been involved or aggressive enough or whatever. then come out and get super aggressive. We did get a couple good reads on some play calls that got him going downhill towards the rim, but mostly he just decided to start imposing his size and will over the top of him and got himself going. Yeah, I mean, we're going to have to do that some. Again, he's seeing a lot of blitzes. So instead of making him play through two, run a lot of ball screens and see two and then have to get off it and don't know if he's going to get it back. We try to run a little bit more off-ball action for him, and it's good. It gives us some spacing along the corners and opens up the middle of the floor a little bit with him and Gary in each corner. Right, we've certainly been missing that a little bit. Well, it was really big, Josh. I didn't think we were getting much off the bench in the first half. So they did a really good job, but most impressively was their defense. They caused a couple shot clock violations and just were really flying around out there, and that was, jump starting them into some opportunities in transition. So they really played great. Really proud of Delano stepping up there, 20 plus minutes. Made some really good passes. I thought that pick and roll lob to Precious was a key moment where the game was kind of wobbling a little bit, and they made a big play, the two of them. Thought he pressured defensively and was part of the group that really guarded there for a stretch. Really good defensive effort second half for us. I thought he was awesome tonight, and the only thing that wasn't really going early was the three ball, but his two ball was. He was getting into some mid-rangers, and he got to the basket a few times, which I love seeing. When he's getting to the basket, he's feeling pretty good. He does a lot of that. He's got the freedom. I keep telling him to just be aggressive and taking it inside and using his length over the top. Again, there was a few play calls that we have found to get him downhill a little bit too, which helps. But we're working together out there. But he's just being aggressive and finding those most of those plays on his own. Listen, I've been complaining about this a lot. It's not easy to stay organized when you got guys in and out all the time, right? And the addition of kind of the Thad, Chris, Precious lineup has got those guys a little confused about who's doing what. So we've really been working hard on trying to get those guys to understand where they're going when they're out there together. So yeah, I think that's all part of us continuing to get us organized, and he's a big part of that.
Look, it has been quite the ride for Pascal Siakam. He's done a really nice job of, after a slow start to the season, kind of getting back into things. And there's no doubt he's one of the main guys, the main cogs, and the main playmakers. You look at last night, yeah, he had 20 points, but he also had 3 recorded assists. And if you watch carefully, every one of those assists came off some kind of Pascal drive or paint touch. And then he's kicking it out and he's looking for other people. And, I hazard to say that he only had 3 recorded, but he's also in the top 20 in the NBA in what they call the hockey assist or the secondary assist. And that's the pass that leads to the assist. So he's obviously doing his part to draw attention. And then as Nick Nurse says, you've done your job. Once you've drawn 2 people, give it up. His rebounding has been terrific, and he's really doing all he can on the defensive end. I mean, a solid game last night when you think about the 8 rebounds, 7 of them at the defensive end, just making sure it's one and done, no other possessions for the other team. I really like what Pascal's doing. Look, here's a guy that's really finding himself, Precious Achiuwa. He's done a terrific job off the bench. He's really kind of concentrated on, although he's got so many skills, he's got a myriad of skills, he's been concentrating on a few of them to really improve his production, the bench's production, and ultimately making winning plays. He had 13 points last night, all of them coming in the second half, 8 of them coming in the fourth quarter. And when you think about it, he's really becoming very comfortable spacing the floor and catching and shooting the 3, particularly in the corner. And that what that hasn't done, it's supplemented his game. It hasn't taken away from the good stuff that he was doing before that, running the floor, rebounding, playing defense. I just like the way he's consolidated his game, and he started to streamline and refine the skills to make him and the bench and the team ultimately more successful. Well, look, it's been 9 games now, and we're starting to see more and more of why the Raptors were so enamored of picking up Thaddeus Young. He's a veteran. He understands being a role player. He understands what it takes to contribute to a winning team, and he's doing all of those things. In the game on Wednesday night against San Antonio, did a terrific job with his rebounding, 7 rebounds, 3 of them on the offensive glass. What does that do? It gives you extra possessions. He's not the kind of guy that you have to run plays for. And then he's very adept at finding shots within the offense now that he's learning it, spacing out to the corner, being there on drive and kicks, getting into the lane, catching, shooting the short jumpers, the floaters. Everybody was so worried about the Raptors' bench production. Between what Precious Achiuwa is improving at doing off the bench and Thad Young and Chris Boucher, you've got a pretty solid 8-man rotation when you choose to use those guys. And that's not counting what Thad is doing for the youngsters and teaching them the game as we go forward.
Thanks, Jonesy. Now we're going to hear from the team following the Spurs game.
Really just me coming in, bringing it down, really just getting us into something, and then we still get him involved within different actions. But it's just something that I'm comfortable with, and they trust me with it. They put me in that position. So it's a good way to initiate the offense, I would say. I've really been working on it a lot. That's what I really come in the gym, work on. I feel comfortable using it. And I feel really comfortable being in the post. Work on it every single day. So I feel comfortable getting to those moves, really. I just feel it's just really what the defense is giving me. If I feel I could take it down by dribbling to it, then I take it down and dribble into it. If I could be able to get it trying to post up, then it's really what the defense gives me.
Yeah, just trying to get a team different looks. Obviously, I came out really aggressive, just trying to find my rhythm again after being out for a few days. So had some success early, and then in the second half, as they started blitzing and showed more attention, just playing off the ball more. Pascal and Scottie creating and just trying to give different looks and kind of keep the defense on their toes. Yeah, absolutely. Obviously, we have a competitive pride and professional pride, and with as much respect to Pop and what he's been able to do in his career, we didn't want to be the team that he won against. So that was a little bit added motivation, and we know how special this building can be when it gets going. So just having a good start to give us a chance for the rest of the night was really important. He's just growing and getting better as the season goes on, finding his spots. He stayed engaged the entire game, and he was able to use his size to get some good looks in the second half. And he's really a tough cover for pretty much anybody when he puts his head down and goes to the basket. So with his touch and his skill, being able to shoot over guys, it's just sometimes there's nothing you can do. So he's going to keep growing as a young player, figuring it out. But he's been really impressive, and he gives us a extra notch, when he's scoring the ball that can add to our offense. I mean, it's not spacing, it's just shooting. You know what I mean? The spacing is the same. You just got to make shots. So the style of play we've been playing for the most of the year was, attack the paint, post up, seals, and different guys like that. So it's been different, having those driving lanes kind of closed down with guys posting up or running the lanes on the break and playing, 3 bigs and, 3 5s and 2 4s sometimes. So it's definitely been an adventure. We said that in the beginning of the year. It's going to be a learning curve and kind of figure out where we can be good. But, we make shots. Didn't shoot it great tonight, but still was able to get 11 threes in. That is all the difference right there. It's going to be tough to win consistently in this league if you can't make threes. So you got to make shots. That'll give the spacing that we need, and being able to get out in transition, get stops. It helps as much playmakers as possible. That's the best way to play the game is having 5 guys out there who can make plays and being able to break the defense down, initiate the offense, and make plays for themselves and for others. So for those guys to get those reps is important for their growth and their development. I think Scottie's been pretty consistent, handling the ball. We've given him a lot of space and freedom to grow and to do what he wants offensively. But it was big for Malachi to get in there those 4 or 5 games to get an extended run just for his own confidence and swag. And, he's had a tough up and down year. So that was good minutes for him. And I think it can help, our entire team. I always put the work in. It's 2 things. You got to put the work in to develop the muscles and the muscle memory and just get the strength of the shooting and, those little muscles in your arm and things like that, and train the eye, hand-eye coordination. And then you just got to be fearless, and that's his best trait is that he doesn't care. He just shoots them. And that's all you got to do is put the work in, continue to grow, get better each day, and then go out there and shoot them in the game and see what happens. So he didn't shoot one tonight. We still had a great game, but he's made some big ones for us this year, and I think he's gonna, be a pretty good shooter in his career. Not really. I think I've kind of been the same voice, for most of my career, other than my rookie year. Obviously, as everything was new for me, learning and trying to figure out what was going on. But once I had a hold of the game, that's kind of how all those relationships developed, especially me and Kyle and DeMar and those guys. I would just be talking to them the entire game and, being active on the bench, bringing energy and talking to the coaches. And that's a good way to stay engaged, and it's also a good way to learn. So I didn't have as many headaches, as a young player as I did over the last week trying to coach and help the team without being on the court. So that's a good thing. But like I said, it's way more fun to be out there on the court than it is to be on the sideline. It's a work in progress. It's a work in progress. I think, again, as, these games go up and down and you can kind of see, sometimes when you go home at night, you lay down, you wish you had some of those possessions back. You understand that it is about wins and losses. It's not always about, what you're thinking in that moment, how you feel in that moment. So, he had, as much as he had the ball tonight, no turnovers. So that's been big with the way he passes and the way he breaks the defense down. So just being more careful. He's such a talented passer that, he can squeeze something in sometimes that can, are a little dangerous. But, that's the give and take that you have with a talented passer. So just understanding time and score and kind of where we are, feeling the flow and the momentum was something that I was on him about earlier in the year, and he's definitely shown a lot of growth in that area.
Let's get right into it and chat about Devin Booker, because wow, is he having another great season. He returned against Miami. He had to miss 4 games. He went back into health and safety protocols against the Heat, showed no signs of slowing down, almost dropped a triple-double on them with 23 points, 8 rebounds, and 9 assists. This is an elite 3-level scorer. I'm not sure you go into the game and you try to stop him. You certainly try to disrupt him. The Raptors had some fair success last time, early January in Toronto. They held him to 4 of 13 from the field, so they did a nice job disrupting him. But the Raptors are going to be without their 6th man, the Raptor, who was a clear distraction in Scotiabank Arena. While he's out with a fractured right thumb, we've got to talk about Chris Paul, who goes by the name Point God sometimes because of how effective he is on both ends of the court. He's in his 17th season in the NBA. He's number 3 all-time in assists. He needs 6 steals to pass Gary Payton to move up to the number 4 spot in the history ranks of this league. So this is a guy that is a leader. He's effective on both ends of the court. He's the first player in NBA history to reach 20,000 points and 10,000 assists. But cheers to Cameron Payne. In the last 5 games, in the absence of Chris Paul, he's averaging just under 11 assists per game. And while very few are the elite defender that Chris Paul is, Payne certainly makes up with that on the other end with his length. So the Suns are figuring out a way to get by here. And finally, let's move on to their big man, DeAndre Ayton. The former number 1 pick is in his 4th NBA season and has some high expectations in the absence, especially of Chris Paul. Now, he's not a 3-point threat, but he shoots over 64% from the field. He's solid, and he's really fundamental in his footwork. So for the Raptors, this is where, number 1, you miss OG, but you ask for a total community effort from Kem and Precious and Thad and Chris Boucher. It's going to take all hands on deck to slow the big man down.
Thanks, Amy. Now we're going to head over to a feature, which Amy was in, by the way, that I had the privilege of producing about some impactful women in the Raptors community and the next generation coming up.
This is for the women who stepped out of bounds. She did it so that she didn't have to. Who cut themselves on broken glass while smashing ceilings. She did it so that she didn't have to. Who broke down barriers blocking the path. She did it so that she didn't have to. Who lit up the trail for the next one to find. She did it
so that I don't have to.
Now, sure, we got to talk about a big task ahead for the Toronto Raptors, the Pheonix Suns. Okay, they're coming off of a win against Miami Heat in their arena, right? It was Devin Booker's first game back after coming back from health and safety protocols. He dropped 23 points and almost had a triple-double with 9 assists and 8 rebounds in 33 minutes. So talk about an efficient game there. Yeah. How big of a task do the Raptors have when it comes to defending their offense?
It's a big task. I mean, when you think about it, this team without Chris Paul can still put a lot of points on the board, and Devin Booker has shown that, and he can lead this team. And I think when you talk about the absence of Chris Paul and when Devin Booker was out due to health and safety protocols, those other guys on the team got the reps. The Cam Johnsons did a great job. You know, you're talking about, DeAndre Ayton, a guy who's getting more featured in situations like that. They do a good job in terms of involving everybody in the flow. And Monty Williams deserves a lot of credit for keeping this team playing at a high level. Look, they are far and away the best team record-wise in the Western Conference. And it's no surprise that after going to the finals last year, that there's a confidence, there's a residue that's left with this team of understanding what's expected in any situations, leaders there or not. And their offense continues to flow, even without the maestro Chris Paul in the lineup.
Exactly. And you mentioned that they went back to the finals, they went to the finals last year, but they're trying to go back to the finals this year, and they're trying to get a different result. So they're playing with a little extra hunger, and I think you also see that on the defensive end. So what stands out to you about the Suns' defense?
Well, you think about it, what really took them out of the contention of the finals was the fact that they couldn't stop Giannis. Giannis was too much for them, so they've become and focused on being a better defensive team. How do they do that? You involve DeAndre Ayton more, use his size, and funnel people towards him. And then you put responsibilities on your perimeter to get the job done. Keep people in front of you. Be active. Make it difficult to even pass the ball. And the Pheonix Suns are doing that. They're in passing lanes. They're very active with their hands. And it's a difficult perimeter to break down. Mikal Bridges is a phenomenal player, and he's really emerging this season. And when you talk about defensive players of the year, he should be in that conversation because he's that good on the perimeter. They have Jay Crowder, who's physical as well. I talked about Cam Johnson. On the perimeter, they've got some size, some strength, and some know-how. And now it's coming to the forefront. And you throw Devin Booker in there, he's got defensive pride. Chris Paul is tough at the point. They're a difficult matchup, even though Chris Paul isn't there.
You got multiple two-way players is just what I'm hearing right now, Sherman. So that's a big task for the Raptors to take on Friday at 9 p.m. You can watch the game and listen to it both on Sportsnet, so be sure to catch it. From myself, Savanna Hamilton, Sherman Hamilton, Paul Jones, Amy Audibert, Jake Armando, and Garth, thank you for watching another episode of Raptors Today.